Hi, I'm author and speaker Robin Mead. This video is entitled, What Are You Asking God? Check out what King David is doing in 1 Chronicles 14. Let me read it to you. I'm in verse 8. When the Philistines heard that David had been anointed king over all Israel, all the Philistines went up to search for David. But David heard of it and went out against them. Now the Philistines had come and made a raid in the valley of Rephaim, and David inquired of God, shall I go up against the Philistines? Will you give them into my hand? And the Lord said to him, Go up, and I will give them into your hand. And he went up, and David struck them down there. And David said, God has broken through my enemies by my hand like a bursting flood. Therefore, the name of that place is called Baal Perazim. And the Philistines left their gods there, and David gave the command, and the gods were burned. Now, the Philistines had been enemies of the Israelites for some time. Do you remember that story about David and Goliath, and David killing Goliath with a stone and then chopping his head off? Now that happened while Saul was king of Israel. Now I've got a question, and this is point one. If David had a history of fighting the Philistines, and now he was king, why is he asking God if he should fight them? Well, we'll go back to the lesson that David's already learned with God. Before David fought Goliath, David had already been anointed as the next king of Israel, but Saul was king. Now, if I killed Goliath with a stone, I might have been like, hey, I killed Goliath, so I'm king, move over, Saul. But that's not what David did. Okay, David, despite being anointed as the next king, waited on God's timing, waited on God to remove Saul before he could take kingship. Now, he showed his faith that God would see the promise through. In many Psalms, David is crying out to God, asking when his enemies are going to be defeated and when God's promise will be fulfilled. David acknowledged in these Psalms how hard it was, how depressed he was, and how he's struggling to understand God's timing. Hey, we've all been there. You might be there right now. But David trusted God completely. When David became king, he followed the same pattern. He trusted God first, and his relationship with God was close. David knew when he had heard from God. Do you know when you hear from God? David spent a lot of time with God in prayer and in praise. That's how he knew when he heard from God. How much time are you spending with God? I know I could spend some more time with him so that I can make sure I'm hearing from him. Number two, David did not delay in obeying God once he received direction. As soon as God spoke, David obeyed. David didn't say, I'm going to go get the Philistines after I enjoy being king for a minute. David went right after what God made provision and direction for, trusting God. The hard truth is delayed obedience is disobedience. Why do we delay? I know I've delayed because I didn't trust God or because there was something else I thought I valued more. What are your reasons for not obeying God right away? Number three, David gave God all the glory for the victory. As king, I might be tempted to talk about how awesome I was in battle, but not David. David said, God has broken through my enemies by my hand like a bursting flood. And as a final act of obedience, David had all the gods of the Philistines destroyed. You know, when we're on a mountain of victory, the temptation is unbelievable to take the credit. But give God the glory. Give him credit as soon as you have your victory. After this passage in 1 Chronicles, there's no more trouble from the Philistines during David's reign. I hope this teaching blessed you. And you can find this video and my other videos on my YouTube channel. You can find my YouTube channel at youtube.com/RobinMeadAuthor. Please subscribe so you'll be notified the next time a teaching video comes out. God bless and have a great day.